Hi guys, John Florez again, and here's the LAX chapter. LAX, not the airport, but the singing group. And here's how all of that came to be. Darnielle Pershing, my best friend and arranger, he and I have been working on several projects for a couple of years, and we decided that it might be fun to call auditions citywide for a singing group, and we would assemble a biracial singing group. 2 men, 2 women, 1 black, 1 white of each. And that really hadn't been done very much at that time. We thought that would be unique and it would create a very interesting sound. So we started taking auditions. However, let me preempt that by saying we knew Linda Seals, who had been with me since 1971, and you and I are now talking 1974. Linda Seals would be the foundation for our group. She would be the starting member. She did not have to audition. Okay, so we put out the call, and this young man comes in and introduces himself as Pat McManus. Well, Pat was a singer-songwriter along with his partner, Lefty Podrosky. And Pat had great songs as well as a fantastic voice, similar to a younger Johnny Mathis. So he was an instant hire, and that was really quite amazing and quite fun. And Carol, my wife, and I signed Lefty and Pat to our publishing company so that we could record more of the tunes that they wrote and benefit in our part as publishers of the tune. Little sidelight, we sold our catalog a couple of years later to Screen Gems Columbia Music. Okay, so now we had Linda and we had Pat. So a wonderful African-American singer, Jerome Broomfield, came and auditioned, and we liked him a lot, so we added him to the group. And he had a very rich, mellow, complimenting Linda Seals' lower register sound. He was less of a lead singer because he was more of in terms of his style, white-black. He wasn't a real, what would you call it, R&B singer. He was more of a pop R&B singer. And then we added one of former Johnny Mann Singer's singer, Mary something or other. I cannot remember her last name for the life of me. If anybody out there knows what it is, I would love to know because it's driving me crazy trying to come up with her last name. Anyway, she was a soprano, and she had just the most gorgeous pop voice you've ever heard. Just so gorgeous. If you want to hear kind of her upper register, she's singing the background of Peekaboo. She's one of the singers on the background of Peekaboo, and Put a Little Love Away on the J.B. Bingham cuts on this website at YouTube. Okay, so here we have the 4 of us, and we're all set to go, and we started making demos. Well, this was going really well, but all of a sudden things got a little more complicated. It turns out that Mary's voice was not a particularly great blend for this lower register group. You could have said it put the icing on the top register, but it wasn't quite a fit. So on her own, say as a solo act, she was lovely. Or if she became the lead for LAX, she'd be lovely. But she was very pop. Remember, she was a Johnny Mann singer, which was a very middle-of-the-road vocal group. So temporarily, we had to replace her, and we replaced her with, on a temporary basis, Darnielle Pershing's wife, Diane. And Diane had formerly been with the Johnny Mathis singers, and that's how she and Darnielle met. So now we've replaced one of the members, but Diane's only there temporarily. She's pregnant, and she's going to want to move on, which she did to a fabulous, one of the top 3 voiceover lady talents in LA for years after that. And then all of a sudden, from nowhere, Ron Keith, his real name's Ron Canoli, and now he's a world-famous minister. He became available, and he had been a lead singer on several labels, and he was really soulful. He sounded like a hipper Lou Rawls. We wanted him badly, and unfortunately had to ask Jerome Broomfield to leave, and we'd replace him with Ron. That was a very painful decision, as was asking Mary to leave. So in the interim, I traveled to Phoenix and I heard a lounge singer singing with her boyfriend, Jim Henkin. I heard Jan Manley, and Jan Manley had a great look and an Anne Murray, Rita Coolidge kind of warm, lower register. The perfect Diane Pershing replacement, since Diane was going to have her baby and move on with her voiceover career. So we swapped Diane, who was only there temporarily, with Jan Manley, who drove over from Phoenix, joined the group, and now we start doing the second phase of our demos. One of these demos was a piano voice demo of a song that has a unique story behind it. That song is Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady, and we had one of the two originals of it, and Helen Reddy had the hit a year or two later. But the story is, I'm in Palm Springs with my dear friend at Screen Gems Columbia Music, Roger Gordon, and we are bunkmates for this tennis tournament that we're attending, and he's in the shower singing this Harriet Schock, fabulous singer-songwriter in LA, her new tune, Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady. He's singing it in the shower. And I walk into the bathroom and I said, Roger, what is that? And he said, oh, that's Harriet's new tune. And I said, I want it. And he said, well, you can have it if she doesn't release it as a single. We'll give it to you. If you want to record it, you can, but you don't necessarily have an exclusive on it till Harriet's label knows what they're going to release. I said, done. So we demoed Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady and a few other tunes. I took the demo to RCA New York, to Tom Draper, who immediately turned us down. And I thought, oh my, here we go. So if I can't sell it to my own label where I've had my hits at this point, then I'm not going to be able to sell it anywhere. So what we did was Carol and I refinanced our house. Attention, never do anything that stupid. But we refinanced our house and we cut Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady and another cut that Pat and Lefty wrote, maybe just Pat on his own, Shala Do I, which is a cute, catchy little tune for the B-side. And what was happening was that I didn't like the new version of Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady at all. I loved the piano voice demo we did for Tom Draper at RCA. So starting with Ron Tutt on drums, we added to the piano voice demo of LAX and Linda, 9 months pregnant, Linda Seals, singing the lead on Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady. We added instrument by instrument and then full orchestra and ended up with what I think is just a lovely record. We took this record, Carol and I, to Joe Smith at Warner Brothers Records. He was the president of the label at that time. And I said, Joe, I need this one badly because we refinanced our house to cut it. And he said, John, don't ever do anything like that again, but I'll purchase it from you guys. And he did. So Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady comes out on Warner Brothers as a single with Shala Do I on the backside. And we're getting excellent middle-of-the-road play in Los Angeles only. And I knew we were in trouble because no top 40 stations were picking up on it and playing. Shortly thereafter, Eddie Rosenblatt called me and said, frankly, John, our promotion department doesn't know what to do with this. It's not black enough for R&B radio, and it's really kind of syrupy, middle of the road. So it's not really great top 40 either. So I'm kind of paraphrasing him at the moment, but that's what he was saying. We don't know what to do with this and this style. So he sent me a book in the mail as kind of a thank you for dealing with us, and it was called The Inner Game of Tennis. And I remember thinking, oh, well, okay, we're going to have to move on with our group. Nice gift, but we're going to be dropped from the label, which we were. So I was just doing all that Carl Graves work at A&M at the time, and Kip Cohen, my boss at A&M, said, I like your group at Warner Brothers. We'll purchase those tracks from them, including Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady, and we'll let you cut a total new album on them in addition to those cuts, and here we go. And I thought, oh, this is fantastic. So I don't know. Let me skip forward for just a second and tell you what happened when Helen Reddy's version of Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady came out and was a hit. Lenny Waronker at Warner's called me and said, did you produce that, the early version of that, John? And I said, yes. And he said, for what label? And I said, for you guys, Lenny. He said, oh, I knew that sounded familiar. I said, yeah, and you liked the backside, Shala Do I, as a hipper single than that, and which it was. But so moving back to A&M, here we are, we cut a full album, we give everybody a lead except for Jan, everybody got to sing their stuff. We had step out lines for individual members within the song so that everybody got to show off their work a little bit. And we got this gorgeous album done. And A&M had pledged a coming out party, a show with LAX Live at the A&M lot, which is the old Charlie Chaplin film lot. And we were so looking forward to that. And what happened is that LAX's initial single, I Betcha, became a hit in the Pacific Northwest, but nowhere else. And the label reconsidered, they listened to our tracks, and they said, you know, we think we're gonna, they didn't use this word, shit can the entire album, which they did, and it's still on the shelf to this day. But what we'd like to do is we'd like to break up the group. And I said, you'd like to what? This is to Kip Cohen. And Kip said, we'd like to offer Linda Seals a singles deal. You cut 3 or 4 tracks on her, and I have a song for you, John, I'd like you to include in that, which is called Love Enough. Beautiful song, which we did. And then we want to offer Ron Canoli an album deal. He was the soulful element of LAX. And so I went in the studio, I cut 4 tracks on Linda, and I cut an album on Ron, and there we were. So the story of LAX has started at Warner Brothers, got some pop middle of the road airplay in LA, nothing else. The group was dropped, picked up by A&M. A&M bought the masters. We went in, cut a whole album, which is still on the shelf, and we got a singles deal for Linda and an album deal for Ron. So that's the way it was. Linda's single did nothing, and so she was dropped rather quickly after that. And I believe Ron Canoli had a chart record with a song called Sticks and Stones, which you'll hear in a bit. So LAX, the vocal group that Darnielle and I formed by holding auditions all across Los Angeles, was a total and utter flop, other than we had a blast making those records. So here are some excerpts of what we did together, and I hope you enjoy them. And as always, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.
Sworn it was me. I might have found out sooner if you'd only let me close enough to see. That ain't no way to treat a lady, no way to treat your baby, your woman, your friend. That ain't no way. Might I add its own affair? There's certain someone's unaware of what she's really done to me, though she's done it quite effectively. She's got me singing, shala do I, humming, shala no I, but still she don't know me. She don't know me. She's got me planning, shala do I, hoping, shala no I, still she don't know me. Still she don't know me. She don't know how I love. I bet you, I get you. you. Betcha I get you. Ooh, yeah. Betcha I get you. Betcha I get you. Ooh, yeah. It's gonna be so good. Friends keep telling me I was better off being free. It's not worth it, let it be. She's not your love. Should have left her long ago. She's not your love. Oh, I know. She's not my love. My mama left me on the doorstep of a house in Beverly Hills. They said that I was born in the ghetto and my mama couldn't pay the bills. My mama didn't want her son to grow up to be a man like my dad. So my mama thought that giving me away then was the best chance I'd ever have. Mama, if only I could touch you, touch you, mama.